The two frightened girls on that dark road asked us for help. They told us they had seen something after getting stuck there, something that slipped back into the woods. Not really believing them, we started searching. My partner and I would soon realize that whatever they had seen would reveal itself to us as well. Stories like this, when we tell police stories, are among the most listened to and respected in nighttime storytelling. Deep down, I think we all respect that job. When you hear a strange sound in a terrifying place, your duty is to walk straight in and find out who or what is making it. So get ready for this journey. And of course, this episode is dedicated to all police officers who go out every day and every night, risking themselves for our safety and to their families as well. As the child of a police officer, I also had to wait for my father to come home. To all the good ones, this episode is for you. You're listening to Night Stories. If someone had asked me 6 years ago, before that afternoon, I would have said what I'm about to tell you was impossible, that these things simply didn't exist. It had been a busy shift. When we thought the final hours would finally calm down, my partner Canizales and I received a call about some teenagers using drugs in front of a church. Nothing unusual. It was a quiet area, and we were nearby, so dispatch sent us. Most likely, they would be gone by the time we arrived, or they'd run when they saw us. But when we got there were no teenagers. No mess. Nothing strange. The street was almost empty. At the church entrance, the priest was waiting for us. He approached quickly and spoke quietly. He told us he had lied in the report. If he had said what was really happening, nobody would have responded, and this was literally a matter of life and death. He begged us, almost pleading in God's name, to stand guard at the entrance of the building next to the church and not let anyone come out. Then he added something else. No matter what we heard, we must not let anyone leave. Not even him. My partner and I looked at each other. We're both Catholic. Something about the way he spoke, urgent, yet without drama, made us agree without much thought. We stood at the door. At first, there was silence. Then, minutes later, a violent crash echoed from inside, as if someone had hurled a wardrobe against the wall. Then came a scream, a man's voice. He shouted for us to let him out, to help him. He said he was trapped and knew we could hear him. Instinctively, I stepped toward the door, but I remembered what we had been asked and stayed put. The man screamed for several minutes, crying, banging, saying he couldn't stand it anymore. Then we heard someone else. Now it was a woman screaming desperately, saying they were hurting her, that she was afraid, that there were children inside. People began approaching because of the noise, and we had to push them away, telling them it was an internal matter. Then came the worst part, children screaming. Not just one, several voices, crying at the same time, begging for help, screaming to be taken out. My partner and I didn't know what to do. We couldn't enter. We couldn't leave. All we could do was stand there listening. It went on for almost an hour. Suddenly, everything fell silent. Minutes later, the priest came out, thanked us, and said we could leave. Help was on the way, and everything had calmed down. He had a few moments of peace. We asked who had been inside, what exactly we had heard. He said we should come in, or we wouldn't believe him. Inside there were only 2 people, a very young nun drenched in sweat, and a little girl tied to a bed. No one else. The priest explained that they were guarding the girl while priests from the capital traveled there to determine whether it was a real case of demonic possession. When we asked about all the voices, he told us it had been only her. Only the girl screaming the entire time. We left without saying anything. No report was filed. We couldn't talk about it. But after that night, my partner and I agreed on one thing. No matter how sick someone is, a person cannot scream in so many different voices, especially not several children's voices at once. I'm sure the priests later confirmed the possession, but that's only speculation. I never learned what truly happened. My sister's ex-boyfriend is a police officer. Very serious. Not a fan of horror at all. When we watched movies as a family, he'd leave if they were scary. He's the last person you'd expect to tell a ghost story. But he told us what I'm about to share. He used to patrol an area of the city surrounded by forest, cabins, restaurants, and hiking and biking trails. Sometimes he had to drive those roads at night, which was already unsettling. He was brave, tough, and patrolled with a highly experienced officer. One night, in a very remote area, A restaurant worker told them a car had driven deep into the road and never returned. That was suspicious. There's nothing further down, and the terrain can be dangerous. Since it was already night, they decided to check. Often, low cars got stuck in muddy crossings, especially with inexperienced drivers. A couple kilometers ahead, they found the car stuck in a shallow creek crossing. Inside were two girls suffering what looked like a panic attack. Seeing the officers frightened them even more, but they eventually calmed down enough to explain. They said they were driving through the crossing when something made them stop. A very short woman suddenly ran across the road. In the middle, she stopped and looked at them before disappearing into the trees. When she turned, they saw all her teeth, not because she smiled, but because much of the skin on her face was missing. The sight left them in shock. Then their car got stuck, trapping them in the forest as darkness approached. The officers assumed it was an injured woman who needed help. While calling for backup and sheltering the girls in the patrol car, the senior officer went searching with his flashlight. While my former brother-in-law tried calming the girls, a man's scream came from the woods. He drew his weapon, turned on his flashlight, and followed the sound toward where his partner had gone. In the darkness, he finally found him. The older officer, tall and strong, now completely pale, eyes wide with terror. He asked what he had seen. No answer. The officer seemed unable to speak. Asked if he'd seen the injured woman. He shook his head no. After catching his breath, he told them they should go back and wait. But my brother-in-law didn't listen. Something had scared him badly, and he wanted to see. When the older officer realized he couldn't stop him, he pointed behind a tree with two trunks shaped like a Y. As my brother-in-law approached, someone peeked from behind it. At that moment, a horrifying burned smell filled his nose, burning his throat and almost making him vomit. He stumbled backward, nearly falling, but his partner caught him. They both retreated to the road. This time, the two women comforted the officers. They freed the car. Soon 2 more patrol units arrived, and everyone searched for 2 figures. The skinless woman the girls saw, and the burning man the officers saw, still burning, with only remnants of a shirt hanging in flames from his shoulders, showing his teeth just like the woman. They searched for hours, and again the next morning. Nothing. A superior officer later told them they probably wouldn't find anyone. Whoever those people were, they likely needed help long ago, help that never came. Months later, once the fear faded, the officers sometimes returned to the area, still searching. My former brother-in-law believed they were restless spirits and that their bodies were probably still somewhere nearby. After telling the story, he was visibly shaken and quickly left, never speaking of it again. A greeting to him, wherever he is. You know who you are. The man who watches. I never saw a ghost. That's how I always start this story. Everything I know comes from my partner, because when I arrived, only he remained, sitting on the curb, back against the patrol car, breathing as if he had run for miles. It was around 3 a.m. during a comm shift when dispatch reported that an officer urgently requested backup on a lonely secondary road between towns. His voice sounded shaken. When I arrived, he was pale, and he's not someone easily scared. He's experienced difficult situations and close encounters with death. Hands on his knees, staring at the ground. He took a moment before explaining. A report had come in about a barefoot woman walking along the road, confused, possibly injured. He went directly there. She was exactly as described, dirty feet, moving slowly. She said she didn't remember what happened, that her head hurt. When he asked if someone hurt her, she silently pointed toward an abandoned house nearby. He assumed someone had taken her there, or she'd taken shelter. He put her safely in the back seat of the patrol car and went to check the building. That's when he began feeling uneasy. He had the clear sensation someone was walking behind him. No footsteps, no voices, just certainty. He turned around. No one. He immediately thought of the woman and returned to the patrol car. Only seconds had passed. It was empty. No open doors. No struggle. Nothing. She was simply gone. He contacted dispatch to confirm the call, and the answer shattered him. There was no record. No one had reported anything. No barefoot woman existed in the system. No call. No log entry. Nothing. No one had sent him there. While telling me this, he said he felt like he couldn't breathe, like his chest closed up. All he managed was calling for help. My call. We searched everything. Patrol car, abandoned house, surroundings. No trace. When I asked if he was sure he locked the door, he looked at me with a face I'll never forget. He only nodded. That night, he was relieved from duty. No report was filed because officially, nothing had happened. Officially, nothing occurred. Thank you for staying with us, community. If you or someone you know is a police officer, share the strangest experiences you've had. And may all officers return home safe to their families. My son is a police officer. He graduated from the academy a year ago and was assigned to a town about an hour away. At first I was scared, like any mother, but he always said the area was quiet. Mostly patrols, jungle roads, small communities. One day he came home unusually quiet, thoughtful. That night he told me what happened. There was a stretch of road everyone talked about, but never explained. Officially, patrols went through it, but in practice nobody passed twice in one night, and nobody stepped out of the vehicle, not because of danger, but because things always failed there. Radios cut off, cell signals disappeared, and everyone felt more time passed than the clock showed. Hidden in the jungle near that stretch, about 400 meters from the beach, stood an abandoned luxury hotel complex. Unfinished, giant concrete skeletons overtaken by vegetation. No one knew why construction stopped. My son, being new and curious, decided one night to check it alone. The radio crackled with interference. Sometimes it worked, sometimes not. He parked and walked around. The place wasn't silent. There were insects, wind, distant ocean sounds. Everything seemed normal until he saw footprints in the damp ground. They were recent. He stepped over one, and it matched his foot exactly. Step after step matched his stride perfectly, as if someone had walked exactly like him moments before. His skin crawled, but he kept going until he heard a long, vague moan from inside one building. Looking up, he realized he was already too close to the entrance. He turned and ran. While retreating, he noticed something terrifying. The footprints only went inward. None came back out. He drove away and later reported the noise. Over the radio, they simply told him not to go back and to continue his shift. He never returned. What seemed like a rookie scare joke turned out to be something everyone avoided discussing. He only told me once, asking me not to mention the town's name. Good night, community. My son and I will keep listening. To close this episode, here's a documented real case we found while researching others, one that even reached U.S. news. In the winter of 2015, officers responded to a car accident where a vehicle had plunged into an icy canal. The car was overturned and filling with water when officers heard a clear voice from inside. "Help us." They immediately worked together to flip the vehicle enough to reach inside before it submerged completely. Inside, they found a baby alive, strapped into a seat, and an unconscious adult man still breathing. Next to him was an adult woman with no vital signs. Reports later confirmed she had died at the moment of impact, long before officers arrived. The baby survived. Later, when reconstructing events, something didn't make sense. The voice. The baby was too young to speak. The woman was already dead. No one else was in the vehicle. None of the officers could explain whose voice urged them to act so quickly, and none included it in the official report. Not because they were told not to, but because they didn't know how to write it. Later interviews brought the story to national attention. The rescue was recorded as successful, but the voice that saved the child, never had a place in the report. It was never explained. Good night, community. Rest well. We'll speak again soon.